before we start this video, there's just this tiny thing I need to do, and I think you will enjoy it. Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today we are checking out the Fender Mustang GT100 with the newest firmware. That's kind of important. So the amp itself got released a few years ago and it had some criticism about the sound and the menus. But quite recently Fender upgraded the firmware so it sounds a lot better and the menus are different. You also have some new effects and new amp models in there. Who is this amp for? I would say it's mostly for beginners and intermediate players. I could also see more pros using this as a practice amp at home, but as a main amplifier, I would say beginners and intermediate players. So what I want to do in this review is to show you some of my favorite sounds in the amp. And I also want to go through a list of positives. And at the end, I want to talk about some negative points to make it a fair review. First positive thing about the amp is the price. It's not super cheap, but it's relatively cheap and you get a lot of stuff for your money. I can see myself like 15 years ago, this would be like heaven to me. You could get some digital amps back then. They were not that good at all and they couldn't even compare to what you get in this particular amp. So I think the price is good. Since the amp is quite loud, or actually it's very loud, you can use it for live gigs and rehearsals. It can definitely handle a loud drummer. That makes the price even better in my opinion. It's not super cheap, but you can use this amp for practicing at home at low volumes, but you can also take it to the rehearsal room and play with a drummer and play live. So if you are young, you might need to save up some cash to get it, but it will be worth it in my opinion. Something that really surprised me is that I've been using different tube amps for many years now, and I haven't really complained about the weight in those amps because I'm kind of used to it. But when I picked up this, it was insanely light compared to the other amps that I own. So if you are using this amp at home and you're bringing it to practice and to gigs, it's really handy that it's so light and it's easy to pick up. You can even pick it up and walk to your practice room if you live close by. I could never do that with any of my other amps. Two very simple and common features is the aux and headphone jacks on the amps. That's so practical when you are rehearsing, if you want to be quiet, and also if you want to play along with your favorite tunes. And that's the way I learned to play guitar, basically, playing along with my favorite tunes. And here you can do it very easily. Throughout this video, when I'm showing you my favorite sounds, I'm controlling everything with my phone. I know, of course, that not everyone has an iPhone or a smartphone, but if you already have one, it's very handy to use it to control the amp. Me, myself, I haven't tried the previous firmware for this amp, but I find the controls to be very intuitive and there are a lot of amps and effects in this amp. I would say that some effects are better than others, but this is a great way to learn how to use different effects. Like when I was younger, I didn't have access to a delay pedal, and I didn't have a delay on any of my practice amps. So when I first got into delay, I didn't understand anything, like how to use it and how to use it in a smart and good way. With this, you have several delays, and you can experiment and learn how to use them. And kind of a strange positive thing is that you can use this amp as a Bluetooth speaker. When I'm here in my studio and I'm rigging up lights and cameras, I always listen to podcasts, and I've been blasting all my podcasts and songs playlists through the Mustang GT 100, and it sounds really good. And now over to my absolute favorite feature of this amp. The beginning track and all the sounds that I've been playing through this video isn't recorded with a microphone. It's just a XLR output from the amp going into my sound interface and into my DAW. And the sounds you get are really good, especially if you tweak the settings on the amp. And it's basically like having a cheaper version of the Headrush pedal board or the Helix or an XFX. Like honestly, it sounds really good. And again, thinking of me playing guitar 15 years ago, having that feature, that would be like my dream. Like so many amps, so many cabinets, so many effects going straight into my DAW. I would record demos all the time. And over to some negative stuff. I know that people say that I'm too nice in my reviews, but I really try to find things that I don't like. The only thing that I could think of with this amp is when you're playing in a room, you can definitely hear, at least with some of the amps, that they are digital. And of course it is actually digital, but more and more people say that digital stuff sounds a lot closer to analog stuff now than before. But with this, at least some of the amps sound a bit harsh. I found that the harshness was lying in the higher frequencies, at least to me. So I could dial that away with using the treble knob, and it got a lot more balanced and sounded warmer and more analog. Honestly, I think some of the patches on there would be hard to tell apart from something analog like a tube amp. Some aren't. That's just the way it is. Okay, so there's a list of mostly positive things and one negative. All in all, I would definitely recommend this amp if you are a beginner. If you want to record at home, definitely get this amp. It's cheap and it sounds really good directly into your DAW. All right, there you have it. The Fender Mustang GT 100 with the newest firmware. Hope you liked this video. If you did, leave a like and maybe subscribe if you haven't. And hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye.